Um, so Reginald Brown, do you
What's up,
have
bro?
do you have a story with Blaine Bishop?
Well, first of all, happy Father's Day to all of your listeners and everybody on the show, and again to Haley, my girl. How you guys doing?
Good.
Good. So, I'll just tell you about Blaine. He was just tough as nails, man. We came in together as rookies, and the guy, he looked a little undersized, but his heart is the size of Texas, man. He just got after it, tough, smart, compete, just a competitor. And it was a treat to play with him. And also, it's good to see him still serving that community and doing a great job in Tennessee.
I know I know Blaine Bishop pretty well on Twitter.
I,
Yeah,
I
go
I've
ahead.
met him a few times in person. He's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been that guy. He's from Ball State. Went to not necessarily a Power Five school, if you will. Comes from humble beginnings, but again, just a guy who's just a big heart, and that's in every way. Uh, you watch Blaine as he grew as a player, and he was always the same way. Always demanded respect from his teammates, but also a guy who was willing to help out anybody he could. So just a great, great guy, man.
I will post the link in the chat for Jonathan. Uh, I was supposed to have him on, but I forgot to send him the link. I'm gonna post it in the chat.
Haley, how you guys feeling about this year and the DeAndre Hopkins talk?
I feel good about it. Like I mean, I don't know. Strangely, I mean, we haven't had a lot of success when we've brought in kind of older wide receivers.
Uh-huh.
Um, but there's got to be one that changes that, and I feel like he could. And we definitely need that veteran presence in our wide receiver room, especially to kind of help Traylon Burks and get him, just have him somebody to not only compete with. I mean, if you compete against the best, it's just gonna make you better. So, not only but also just as a mentor or whatever. And I think it really could change. I mean, I think that's kind of our biggest question mark is our wide receivers. So I really think it could. I mean, it could change the whole season. Having somebody like him. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I think he's number one, he's still a great talent.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a drop off, it's
Mm-hmm.
a very small drop off with getting DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, there's Blaine. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's
Hey,
going
Blaine.
on? Hello, everyone. How y'all doing?
It's all
Good.
good. Good
What's
seeing
going
you,
on,
bro.
Reg, man? It's good seeing you, bro.
Hey, you looking good as usual.
Oh man, I'm just trying to hang out. I'm trying to keep up with you, man. How's all those? What are you? You a principal now? Where were you? Your
Yes, I'm a
AD?
principal at the middle school. Yes.
Okay,
Ooh,
okay.
middle
It's
school. That's rough.
Yeah,
yeah,
better
it's
you than me.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, when I'm old school in one way, but I still keep up with the times. My
Yeah.
daughter was in eighth grade at school with me, so I was able to speak
Oh.
the language because I had a middle school student,
Ah,
and so
gotcha.
it's
Wow.
pretty cool. I got the kids. One thing about in any profession, anything you do, you work hard. You learn the do's and the don'ts, and then you go out there every day and put it on the line. And being a middle school principal is just like that. You
Yeah.
learn the pedagogy. I love my kids. My school has 1,300 kids,
Oh,
and
wow.
I know pretty much all of them by name. And if you show that you care about them, they'll perform for you. So it's been good for me.
Well, I have an eighth grader, so I might be hitting you up for some pointers because these middle school years are about to be the death of me. So
Yeah, they kind of crazy. How's it been going, B?
Yeah, everything's well here, man. Just trying to. I didn't realize it was going to be Father's Day weekend, but just trying to manage through all of that over the
Thanks.
weekend. The
Yeah.
wifey and his son's off at school, so we kind of celebrated that last weekend because he had something to do this weekend. So going out to dinner and stuff. So yeah, man, been just kind of enjoying Father's Day. For whatever reason, I never feel like it's like Mother's Day though.
Right. Facts. Right. Yeah, they kind of walk. Blaine, I got 5 daughters, man. Me and my wife got 5 daughters, and the girls love daddy, but Father's Day still ain't like Mother's Day. It just
it's not the same. No doubt.
But it's cool though. It's really, really cool. And is your son playing? Is he playing ball like you?
Yeah, he's trying at it, so he's hanging in there. He's converted. He was a wide receiver like you, and then he in college they moved him, and so that's kind of been a transition. We all know how tough that is. So now he's a defensive back. So we shall see where it goes from there.
Right there. We were just talking about DeAndre. What do you think about that?
Yeah, DeAndre Hopkins. For the right price, I definitely would do it if I was the Titans. But I'm not going to overpay. You got to understand where the market is today. I think he's trying to inflate the market. Him and his agents doing their job. So while he's visiting, I think the teams know they can lowball him as far as what he was making. I don't know, $25 million or whatever he's making.
Yeah.
The Titans, they weren't going to pay that. I don't think they're. If I was them, I'd be 7 to 10. It's just kind of me because I think that's where the market's at. I think OBJ kind of changed that whole dynamic in his thought process, and he's probably going to push for that because he's probably saying, "Hey, I'm a better player today than OBJ after 2 ACL tears."
Right.
So it'll be interesting. But his game wasn't built on speed. He was a route move the chains guy and combat catcher. At this high point with the great hands like yours, Reggie. So I just think his translates in this offense. I could probably help them win one more game. As you know, it's hard for the receivers to impact a game. And I don't know if we're going to be throwing them a lot or not. I mean, with Kelly in the offense, looking at him back the Houston Texans, I really like what I saw out of that offense. And they did throw the ball. They had a balanced offense, but they spread out. And Hopkins had over, 1,200 yards that season with all kind of quarterbacks. So I feel like the Titans are the better fit. Now, for what price is going to be the question. And I just don't know. And we only have $8 million, and they still have to sign Levis, the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, you can always work around that, but I hope it works out. But, man, I think it's going to take a while before signing. And then if somebody's receivers get hurt, some starter, then he may sign with another team because they're at that point in time, and then all of a sudden he'll get the price he wants.
I agree with you. I think Tennessee is really a good fit for him. He provides a blanket for Tannehill or, whoever the quarterback is. I mean, the guy don't drop balls. Like you said, he high points it. At this point, he's a veteran. He can teach those young guys. They got it there because they really need it. He's not the quintessential playmaker, the Tyreek Hills of the world, but he makes big time plays though. So I think he'll be really good for you guys.
Yeah. What do you think?
Everything.
Yeah. You want to go get him, Haley? You want to go get him?
Yeah, I do. That's why I was just telling Reggie that I don't know. I think, our wide receiver room is probably like our biggest question mark right now. And I think it would not only be good for the team to have, just a veteran player, like you said, just to have someone for Tannehill or whoever, to throw to. But I think having someone like that is only going to make Treylon Burks better. So I'm all in. So.
Yeah, but I'm not a capologist, so I'm not going to act like I'm a salary cap guy, but I kind of look at the market. How much most you would pay him to get him here? If you were really trying to get him, say, Stan, this is the guy. We want you.
Right. I'm like the business side of things, I have no clue.
Know?
Like,
know. I mean, what do you think, Rick?
I think somewhere between 8 to 10. You know, I'll tell you something that I'm more familiar with, and it's Dalvin Cook, right? So the Miami Dolphins are going after
Yeah.
him. And, you know, I follow the
Every day.
Dolphins really, really close, and so you know, he wants a huge contract. The NFL is not concluded that they're not paying running backs that much. He probably wants somewhere between 8 to 10. For me, as a Dolphins, knowing we're in cap hell, I'm willing for 6 to 7 million. Because living in Florida, that takes it to about 8 because of the taxes and then heavy incentives. And, you know, Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, has always been willing to give some signing bonuses. So maybe you give him some up front. But I think that's the thing with fans on Twitter. You know, they want to spend them owners' money, but
it's not our money, right?
they spend it, man. I mean, they willing to give everybody 15, 20 million, everybody, you know, and it just don't work like that. And but fortunately, you understand it, Blaine. I understand it that from a player's perspective, I have no problem with them trying to get everything they could get because it is such a short-lived career, you know.
Yeah. Let me ask you, like, if you were in his position, would you be looking more for who is going to give you the best chance of a Super Bowl, or who's going to give you more money?
I think that's an outstanding question there, Haley. And, you know, when I got to the end there and I went to Philadelphia, the Eagles, I was definitely all about trying to get a ring. You know, I pretty much achieved everything that I ever thought I could ever dream of, and that was all. That was it for me. So I went to the Eagles just because of that. So, but you know, every player is different. He's a Hall of Fame player, no doubt, and you know, money's important, but at the same time, I don't know what his career trajectory as far as how long he wants to play. If he wants to do a 1 year and done and say, okay, let's reset the market, show everybody I can still play and get it done at 31. But for me personally, it was always about winning. It was all I haven't been on teams that didn't win, and then when we didn't, it was just horrific for me. So I would be that way.
Yeah, I think that it really comes down to if he's been a good steward over what he's received, right? If he's taking care of his money and money is not the issue, then certainly it's the Super Bowl, you know, but you never know, you know, the tax burdens on guys. You know, people think you get 40 million, well, that's really 25 million, and then mama house and this cousin and that, and all of a sudden, you know, it's not what you exactly thought. So, but if he's been a good steward, then certainly a championship Super Bowl should be his main concern. But, you know, everybody's shaped differently, you know.
Right. I mean, you know, it's no different than asking, you know, me, you know, why did I play football? And I would tell you because I really love the game. But if you ask some guys, they'll say, oh, because I wanted to be a celebrity. See, so that's kind of that same question to me is what were you really in the game for? Yeah, eventually you wanted the nice things too, but ultimately get down to when you know it gets to the end and, you know, you got 3 years left or so. You're trying to get that ring. That, you know, you want to put your stamp on this league besides just his play. And without having a ring, I think that's going to eat at him. I think he's more than that. I think that's the media's trying to put out there. It's all about the money. So to a certain extent, it probably is. But I believe right now, I think it's about where he thinks he has the best shot of winning.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately for players, guys don't dream about how much money they're gonna make when they're 6 years old and 7 years old and 10 years old. They dream about that trophy. And so that is and always will be the motivating factor. However, when you get down to the end of the journey, you have to get as much as you can get because it's kind of like millionaires fighting with billionaires, you know. Everybody want their piece, but I think he's a guy, you know, living in Houston, I had the benefit of watching that guy for about 5 or 6 years. I mean, he's amazing talent, and I think he's still got a lot left in the tank, and wherever he lands, he's going to be good. And I think Blaine brought out a great point. I just think he's really, really good fit for Tennessee. He takes pressure off King Henry. He takes pressure off Tannehill. He takes pressure off the coaching staff. He takes pressure off everybody. We're keeping to move those chains, and he does the dirty work as well.
We got a whole crew on here.
Oh yeah, what's up, guys?
What's up, Jonathan?
What's up, Reginald Brown?
You good?
Blaine, Jonathan is a Dolphins fan, so he and Reggie are buddies. So.
Oh yeah.
And
I know some of those guys down there. Some of them now coaching. Sam Madison's coaching now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Having Vic Fangio down there is going to really change the trajectory of that defense down there. You know, hopefully, with the Dolphins, it's really quite simple. Tua stays healthy, and we continue Tua is hurt, and you know it's another 10-7, 9-8 season. It really just boils down to that.
Man, you guys are in a tough division. AFC East is going to be tough with the Jets with Rodgers, the Dolphins. And, you can say what you want to say about New England. They're always going to be in the hunt.
Every year. I mean, I would say it's the toughest division in football.
Yeah.
Certainly the NFC East is tough, and the AFC West is going to be tough. But when you got the Aaron Rodgers now, and you got that defense with Sauce Gardner, and then you got Buffalo, I do see some kinks in the armor in Buffalo. You know this, Blaine. When there's fire, there's smoke. When people start saying stuff, I'm not serious. And I was telling on the Twitter Spaces, I was telling them, Blaine, and you can speak to this. Those type of things, they either galvanize a team or they tear them up. And we'll find out with the Bills what happens with it.
Yeah. You're talking about like referencing to Stephon Diggs' situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to take a hit. I think they're not going to be the for sure team this year in the division. They lost a lot on defense actually. So, and the Jets are going to be like probably the team to beat in our division.
So Blaine, tell me how the transition has been for you.
The transition from I guess you're talking about football to radio now.
Yes, sir.
Well, it's been pretty easy for me. Unlike a lot of players, I'm getting to do something I dreamed about. I didn't know I was going to make the NFL. So I'm playing though having a job. So I did study communication at the David Letterman building there at Ball State University. So I was well prepared. So I was doing radio here in Tennessee for the last couple years before I retired, 3 years before I retired, and then. That kind of led me back to that. I started with TV on Channel 5 here locally, then the NFL Network, and then I bounced around. So I knew I always wanted to do, some form of radio TV. So I eventually settled on, I had the face for radio, so I was good to go. Well, it's been pretty smooth for me. It kept me in the loop. For doing stuff with the NFL alumni and the podcasts and the uniform policies and stuff like that. So, and I've kept connected just enough to stay around a little bit, I guess.
Hey man, I was just telling them before you came on, before we were just talking before we got started, how you were such a humble guy, man, but just a dog, man, just a fierce competitor, man. I mean, you and I, we were both young, and
yes, we were.
Pete, man, and had some really, really good battles on the football field and practice, man. And I just always admired your work ethic, your grit, and your toughness, man, as a football player. And then I was telling them the coolest thing was you would be just vicious on that football field and then be the nicest guy.
Well, it was a rude awakening coming from Ball State. Didn't get into the National Football League. So I really put in a lot of work there, and the players helping me out, going against you, Webster Slaughter, Ernest Givens, all in that rookie year. Seeing the last of that crew, kind of that last year was my first year, and to get the chance to go against those guys that I all looked up to and watch play, and realizing what all I needed to do to be successful and to make it, because my goal was actually to make the practice squad my rookie year.
Sir.
And then as time went on, coming to training camp, I said, I'm gonna make the roster. And then, fortunately for me, I got a lot of guys got injured, and it gave me an opportunity, and I was ready to seize the opportunity. As we all know, it's not for long, and Reggie, one of the best route running type players. And you was kind of like D-Hop before D-Hop, man. Until the ACL, huh?
Right. Yeah. Until the ACL. Yeah. I think that my game, I was a bigger receiver.
Yeah.
Wasn't blazing speed with 4.4 speed, but
Right.
I ran good routes. I knew how to position the body, and if you threw it to me, I was going to catch it and work really hard at it. But again, the thing that I try to share with people about the NFL is everybody there can play.
Yeah.
Once if you can step on the NFL field, you can play, but it's the speed of the game is about 30% of it. Can you keep up? And then the other 70% is really the knowledge and being able to make those adjustments quickly, because everybody can play. And now it's the nuances that really take you from good to great to Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I have to ask you guys real quick. I mean, with Reg, and I just wanted to say this because it took me about 3 or 4 games, and I just don't know. I wish I was smart enough to, technology wise, to figure it out. Like it took me about 3 or 4 games where the game starts slowing down to like I was back in college.
Yes.
Right now, some guys don't go through that transformation, and it never slows down. So I'm wondering why that happens. And it doesn't matter what school you could have went to, Notre Dame, Purdue, you could have went to U of H. It's just, you can see it and you watch it and you can tell when you're watching film, because the first game I played out there as a starter, guys were running by me. I couldn't even tell you their jersey number.
Right.
And then it slowed down. It started slowly slowing down to where it was back to college. That's when I knew I was going to take off. And I don't know why it happened. But I call it eye discipline, eye control. My eyes finally adapted to the actual speed of the game, which you can't see from watching on the couch or TV or even at a game.
Yeah, I think that was the biggest thing for me as well. Just coming in and like you, I came from Alabama State University, a HBCU, and I had played against some talent, really, really good guys. But when you get to the NFL, and everybody is good, and I had a chip on my shoulder being from a HBCU, and I know you had a chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, I definitely did.
You had a chip. I remember Chris Dishman and all of them. They used to talk about Purdue and Travis Hanna telling me about USC, and I wouldn't have played at USC and all of that. And I'm like, boy, all right, we'll find out today, and those competitive juices. But the speed of the game, and I think it's something that, unless you really experience it, you can't. It's hard to encapsulate just how fast things go. And there's no curve. The coaches expect you to know immediately. And fortunately, I was able to keep up with it until I had the ACL, and I really wrestled with coming back the second time, because I had an ACL in college and then one in the pros, and that to try to do it again, I just thought was just too much. And I decided, what, let me go do something so I can be able to walk when I'm 60 and still get around. So I made that decision. But you correct.
So like the speed of the game or whatever, like, is there a difference coming from like out of college to like, do you feel that speed change in preseason games, or do you not, and like feel another transition in regular season games, or what?
All of them are different levels of speed. There's a preseason speed, there's a regular season speed, and then there's all of a sudden a playoff level speed. And I'm going, what the heck? These dudes wasn't this fast in the regular season.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It is a whole nother level. And man, it's hard to describe.
And I'll tell you this, just from me, for the first day of practice, back when me and Blaine played, we still ran wind sprints and gashers and hundreds, before and after practice, and they don't do that no more. But I mean, it was a full-on practice. And I remember, I had the first practice in training camp. I had a good practice, and I was a long shot to make the team, but every day you're just trying to count, did I move in front of somebody? Did I get closer to the cut line? And I remember having a good practice, and then we go to run wind sprints, and we blow the whistle, and I take off, and I'm running as hard as I can, and I look right next to me, and Lamar Layton is running right next to me, a linebacker, with that kind of speed, and Bruce Matthews is not too far from behind him. So everybody can run, and everybody is, the knowledge of the game. So it's different levels to it, like Blaine said, from practice to game to Super Bowl. It's just fast.
It's interesting because I mean, you can see that like every preseason you have kind of standout guys that everybody's talking about, and then come season they just disappear. It's like what's his name, Kyle Phillips he got hurt, but still, like, he was all the talk in the preseason. But then you get to the regular season and they don't do anything, or they're just kind of fall off. But even beyond that, I never really thought about that same thing happens, where you have players who are so great regular season and then they get to the playoffs and just cannot get, like Tannehill. Tannehill is super consistent during the season. And he's one of the most consistent players on our team, but then you get to the playoffs and it's just a completely different. Even Peyton Manning even was like that. So it's interesting. I never thought about it that way, that it's a completely different speed in the playoffs. So that's
it is, man. Have you heard a lot of people talk about that, Jonathan?
Yes. So like the playoffs is just like a different, like, it's like a whole brand new season or whatever. But like some coaches, like, they'll save like certain playbooks for playoff games that they've never shown in the regular season, and teams are not expecting, for them to make those moves or those plays or whatever. Like, the playoffs is just different.
Yeah. Blaine, let me ask you this. How do you encapsulate Ryan Tannehill's career? I know when he was in Miami, he kind of drove me crazy as a diehard.
I know everybody says that in Miami, man.
In Miami, I think like his problem was, and I tell this to everybody, I think he was just in a harder division. Like, we had Brady, and while we had Tannehill here, we had Brady, and got the beginning years of Josh Allen. Like, he was always going to be like, we're always going to finish third. There was no jumping to the top with Tannehill. Like, it just felt like there was a cap there.
Yeah. Well, who was the coach? Who was the coach? Wasn't it the coach?
It was Philbin.
Philbin.
Then we switched to Adam Gase.
Adam Gase, yeah.
Yeah, Adam Gase.
But
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Adam Gase drove everybody out of town. Like, his second year, was it Reginald Brown?
Yeah, he tricked the whole NFL, man. Is he even coaching now?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. I don't know, actually.
Yeah. I look at Tannehill. I really I didn't know a lot about him. I just know everybody. I used to do all the radio shows down there in Miami, and they were against him, whether it was with Crowder or whoever's, all these different stations on it. They would laugh at me when I would tell them that he is a solid starting quarterback. This is 2 years in, probably, with the Titans. And he's been here longer than that now. But
I think
I'd be like, hey, man, he's a solid quarterback, man. He's doing, hey, man, until we get to the playoffs, we'll see. And then you get in the playoffs, he always kind of tight and intense. And I think some of that wasn't on just him. And reason why I say that is they were so conservative during the regular season, he never had to put the team on his back. Right. So that's what I kept saying. I wanted to see the team get behind and Tannehill bring them back, because then that gives him, and he can visualize that he can do that, and then he'll do it in the preseason like it's nothing. But when you play so conservative and handing the ball to Derrick Henry almost the whole freaking game, you're never given opportunity. So then when you do get it, what happens? Tannehill started pressing and trying to force things. And that's what I think happened. I still think Tannehill's a really good quarterback.
I like him. I've always thought. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, people don't forget, man. This guy started at A&M at wide receiver. This guy's an athlete. This guy can actually. This guy.
You think about not last season, but the season before, 2021, I guess. When we had Julio, AJ, and Derek, like, hurt most of the season,
right.
And we still just kept winning games. Tannehill, to me, that was when Tannehill kind of shine, because he didn't have his safety nets, and he still pushed us through, and we ended up with the number 1 seed,
that was the tempo. That was the one they were supposed to get, though. That Bengals loss, and I won't ever put it all on Tannehill. I didn't like some of the play designs and concepts. I thought they were very elementary in my opinion. Yeah. Versus Cincinnati plays cover 3 all day, all night. That's all they do. And they didn't run cover 3 beaters to me. So he still threw the ball, but they could have done. Everybody around could have done a lot better job than me.
There was a lot of issues in that game, and obviously his is going to be the most glaring because he interceptions. But even all the interceptions weren't on him.
Right.
So even You know, I say that last interception, he wouldn't have even had to, if we hadn't gone for 2 earlier in the game, we wouldn't have been behind one. We would have been, you know what I mean? Or we would have been head one. We would have been trying to win. I mean, so there's just a lot of things in that game, but obviously his is glaring. That game was one of the hardest games I've ever been to.
That was the team though. That team could have made it to the Super Bowl. That team, they had enough. They had enough.
Yeah. It reminded me of in 2000, the year after y'all went to the
Ravens.
Super Bowl.
Yep.
And I was at that was actually the very first Titans game I ever went to at like in person. Was that playoff game. It was cool.
That's the only look, watch this. I'm about to get y'all. That game pains me more than losing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Wow.
I could see that. Because that was the team. Y'all were
we
better.
Knew we were good that year, and we knew we were dominant, and we knew we were going to not just go to the Super Bowl, we were going to win it. Yeah. It wasn't the entire season. It was that way. We were 13-3 back to back. Yeah. And we knew, you know, the year we went to Super Bowl, we kind of gained that kind of confidence that we were an elite team as the season went on. Mm-hmm. But that next year, we knew we were some bad boys.
Yeah.
The whole entire team.
That team was amazing. I mean, that game was. Oh, yeah. It was rough.
I watched the 30 for 30 bullies of the Baltimore. They, you know, that was the year they beat us in the second round. I'm like, yeah, well, they showed me dumping Jamal Lewis, man. And I was like, yeah, I need to show some bad highlights because we were bringing it. But man, that hurt. Yeah, that we held them to 120 yards on offense and lost. So that hurt. You know, special team gas off. I mean, it's tough, man. You just never know when that opportunity. Bruce Matthews, the living legend, played 20 years and he only went to one Super Bowl. I mean, it's just, you know, it's the luck of the draw. Then I hear a guy get in the league 2 years. Oh man, I got me a ring. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right.
Yeah, so it's tough. Got to seize the
I
moment.
tell people all the time, Blaine, Bruce was one of the best athletes I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame offensive lineman, but that dude could have went to any Hall of Fame he wanted to go in, man. He could have been a Hall of Fame basketball, tennis. We played racquetball together, and I mean, this guy
abused me in the racquetball room, man. I was running around like I was crazy. He was just standing in one spot.
I mean, just an amazing athlete, man. Those damn Matthew jeans is something serious, man.
Yeah, no question.
So I know Bryce has been bringing up this question a lot, so I'm going to ask you, Blaine. He wanted to know kind of what the transition was like coming from Houston, going from Houston to Memphis, Memphis to Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt to the new stadium, like what those years kind of looked like.
Well, those years were they were really tough. Just moving, the transition movement, you know, it's just like, you know, going to another team pretty much since we were going to a whole nother state. So, you know, and then not really having a home base. We were in Bellevue. We were practicing in campers. I mean, it was ridiculous, really. And then we would fly to Memphis. Families would drive to Memphis, and then they get stuck in traffic. We wouldn't see them till the next, that night and night. It was just not good. Then the fans in Memphis didn't want us to be there. They would be booing, cheering for the other team. They would have all the other team's colors, and I get it. We didn't know that they were rivals like that when we just got here. We had no idea.
Right.
So that first year was a hot mess. It was just absolutely horrible. And then, you know, being professionals in the pro game, it doesn't matter. You still got to go out there and play and win. We were a mediocre team. We were in the middle. We're, 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 throughout that whole process. Then we played at Vanderbilt, so the least made it easier for our families. But we still were practicing campers and everything else. So they finally finished the facility and the stadium the same year, and then it felt like it was an NFL team again. Before that, I don't know if we might have felt like we were a Division 2 or 3 team.
Do you feel like during that time, though, that because you were kind of out floating around, do you feel like that made the team like that much closer? I mean, did you guys like really just rely on each other during that time, or?
You could say it did, but it didn't translate into. We still were an average team. We only had an average talent. I think our team was already close because really that's all we really had. And at the end of the day, Coach Fisher was kind of he kind of preached that all the time. It's us versus everybody else. Nobody thinks we're good, this and that. So, you could say in a sense it did, but at the same time, the key cog to it all, we had a good, solid team. And then we get the new stadium. We felt like we were at home. We get our new jerseys, and then we got this guy they called the Freak, and we got him. He was and he was what Lamar Latham was to that team with the Oilers.
Yeah.
He was a freak of nature guy, and once he figured out how to play defensive end, people forget he played high school. He played safety. In college, he was more of a linebacker. So he had to learn how to take on tackles and tight ends. So all preseason took him a minute, but then the first game, he finally figured it out, and he really was the linchpin. And I can't say for the entire team, but for the defense, it made everybody's job just a lot easier. We're talking, 6'5" guy that's running 4.4, and it's phenomenal. And he could, I would never race him because I was afraid he probably could beat me.
Yeah.
So I would threaten that I would race him, but I never did. So that really what happened, and everything just came together, and we won some close games early on, but and then we just kind of went on that run, and then kind of the rest was history. But yeah, we were close, but it was also it was tough. I don't wish that on anybody. Maybe you could do it for a year, but then we basically had 3 homes. I mean, really for home games in 3 years. So that's tough. Yeah. So I'm interested to see when they build the new stadium what the process is going to be like for that as well. Now that we come full circle, now they're building a new stadium ready in 2027 or 6 or so. So I don't know where they're going to be playing, but I don't think they'll be playing in Memphis. I would bet 100% that they wouldn't be doing in Memphis.
No.
So how old is the stadium that you got they playing now?
99.
Yeah. 24
So
years.
that's the shelf life of a stadium now, huh?
24, yeah. That's kind of.
I don't even know if Blaine, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this is really more about. The stadium needs a lot of improvements, and at first they were just going to update the stadium, but then they realized the cost of updating and versus the cost of building a new stadium. But you think about how much Nashville has changed since '99. Nashville is a completely different city. It's kind of become this it city. We held the draft. We've got a lot of and we need really a new stadium to kind of take us to that next level of having a Super Bowl or the U.S. Whatever it is, World Cup or whatever.
The World Cup and the Final Four for playoffs in college football. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
Super Bowl.
So,
Wow.
So I think to me, it seems like it's more about that than it's kind of. The city has grown so much, and we've had so much success with these big events that we've had in Nashville that's kind of the only thing holding us back from reaching that next level is our stadium.
No, I completely agree with you. The upgrades, and they're saying, well, if we're going to spend this amount of money, I don't know what it was, but then we might as well just I think maybe in like $100 million. They're like, well, shoot, what's it going to cost to get a new stadium? Let's look into that.
Yeah.
Can you believe the Astrodome is still standing?
I cannot believe that. That's where all the rodeos are at now.
I mean, not in the Astrodome. I mean, the Astrodome is just rodent infested. I don't think anybody can go in there without a mask on, man.
I thought they were going to blow that thing up.
They're still trying to figure out. They keep having fights on what to do with it. I mean, you can't go in there without a permit or something. I mean, it's serious business. I mean, it's infested and all of those things. So, but it's still standing, and it was built in 1970s, the late 70s, maybe early 80s. So that is crazy that it's still there.
It's right next to NRG, I think, right?
Yeah, most definitely, right next door. But it's an eyesore now. I mean, it used to be the 8th wonder of the world, and now it's just an eyesore in Houston. And they can't figure out what to do with it.
So, I was going to ask. So, you guys played together, and how long did y'all play together in Houston?
2 years. Was it 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
Did y'all come in the same year?
I was a year before him.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 year.
All right.
But he was tough as nails, man. I can still, just tough and ornery and get after it, and and it was crazy because for both of us, I was always a guy that was on the bubble, right? You know, it was, will he make the team again? Will he make the team again? You know, undrafted, coming from so I always had a chip on my shoulder when I was out there, and Blaine had that same chip on his shoulder. And when you got that, you make for some good practices. But I think that the one thing that I tried to do, and I could say, you know, I tell my daughters about it. If you ask me what my fame, or I would call my claim to fame in the NFL, it was I competed every day against my teammates to get them better and get them prepared. Chris Dishman and I went through some battles. Steve Jackson, Blaine, you know, just, you know, they would always tell me to slow down and take a pause. And I was like, man, I got 1 foot out the door, bro. I gotta work hard. So, you know, but yeah, again, I'm super, super impressed with Blaine and what he's done and what he's accomplished over his career. You know, to see him again come from Ball State and, you know, become a absolute dog in the NFL, Pro Bowler, and then to continue his career is just good to see him and, you know, be a family man and all of those things. So super, super impressed.
Oh yeah, much respect there, Mr. Brown. Yes.
Yes.
Always my teammates, man.
Yes.
But
so is King Henry, man? How long he gonna be able to run like that, Blaine?
well, he's a unicorn, man. He's I'm gonna say this. He's the best running back that runs the football. I don't think he's the best running back. And when I look at running backs in any position, by the way, I look at what they are good at in totality. And when I say that, that means he's great at blocking. He's great at catching the ball out of the backfield, at running routes. Henry doesn't run routes. So when people say, oh, yeah, he catches the ball, yeah, flare passes, screen passes. I'm talking about getting down the field and make some impactful plays. And by the way, I think running backs will be doing that this year. So I'm interested to see how much he can improve on that. Pass blocking for a guy his size, I think is average at best. But as a running back, he is number one at running the football in the National Football League. So he's a ton. You get a guy that big, 6'4", and that strong and that fast. Don't nobody want none of that, none of that business there, man. So,
and he's one of those people too that, you know, because I know a lot of people talk about like they have to kind of give him some rest or give him, you know, someone to take the pressure off him. But the problem is with Henry that I've noticed is that the more he touches the ball, the better he gets. So like he's one of those people that if you give him rest, he tends to not be as good. You know, it's just like every year. It's why he's you know, Dehember, because he's so much better in December than he is in September, because the more, you know, he just gets his rhythm, whatever, you know. And so it's hard because you say you want to take the pressure off of him. He's getting older, whatever, but at the same time, he's not the same running back when he's not getting the carries, because he's just not. I don't know. It's something in him just builds on. You know, the more he gets it, the harder he hits, the more he wears him down. You know, whatever it is, I don't really know, but.
Yeah, he reminds me of those guys who they have a window, and when it goes down, it's gonna go down fast. Yeah, he's not gonna hang around 2, 3, 4 years after that moment. It's almost why, unfortunately, they have to use him till they use him up, because when it sets in, it's gonna be over with.
Right. And one thing I'm gonna just add to that real quick before Jonathan goes is, most teams aren't going to allow, if Henry was on other teams, that many carries to build up to that. So our offense was built around that, and I think is slowly shifting. And they're not going to give it to him 28 times a game. And so then his numbers are going to look smaller this year. I'm interested to see how well he does, just with that thought process in mind. I don't know if fans know that that's coming, but I think it's going to happen. And then that's going to give them the reason to, his contract is up and they don't re-sign him. And then he goes to another team. They're not going to be running him like he's running with the Titans. He won't never get 25 carries a game like that again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone in the comments was just asking if this will be his last year, or you think he gets a new contract. So
I think it's his last year. I think it's Tannehill's last year. And I think it's Kevin Byers' last year.
Wow.
and all of their contracts aren't up. But Tannehill and Henry, yes, Byers is not up. But it has to do with how much money is allotted for the safety position. They already asked him to take a pay cut, and that's not on the new GM. It's really on the old GM, JR. He paid Hooker a big new contract, and so now all of a sudden you got $25 million just at the safety position. That's too much. One of them got to go, and you always go with the younger player just because of age, regardless of how well you're playing. It's unfortunate, but Kevin Byers already wrote his history in the NFL and with the Titans. He's the best safety in Titans history based off his stats.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, that first contract is what have you done for me lately? That second contract is what have you done for me lately? Like if you ain't doing, we're not paying you anymore for your future, what we think about you, that's over with. And so it's crazy to say that era of the Titans is about to come to an end.
Yeah,
It was fun to watch.
so.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and a tough team. I believe in, as someone who follows the Titans because of the Oilers, etc. I believe in Grable, man. I believe that guy's a good coach, and I think that he is as much like Bill Belichick. Even though he didn't coach with Belichick, I think he takes a lot from that Belichick tree, because coaches for Belichick don't do well, but apparently if you play for him, you'll do well. But
yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I like Grable and what he's doing down there, and I think he's building something that's sustainable down there. But it always starts with that quarterback, so we'll see.
So what do you think about? Obviously, we've drafted 2 quarterbacks, second and third round in the last 2 years. So do you think the Titans are already kind of planning on moving on from Malik, or you still think they're kind of looking at things to like it's a competition still between him and Levis?
Well, I think that's still a competition right now. It's still early yet, but I would say Levis had a huge advantage in that he played in a pro style offense.
Yeah.
Malik Willis looks 10 times better than he did last year. I was really concerned if he was even a backup in the National Football League. Through so far this year, he looks really improved. Have to give him that. He's put in some work. He came from an offense that was nothing like what we were doing. And so I would say Malik Willis right now is a little bit ahead of Levis. But when I'm saying it like that, that means it's even, and that means Levis just got here and is really winning. Yeah. But at the same time, they're gonna let him compete. And so it'll be interesting to see if they keep 3 quarterbacks. I think it's going to be a battle all the way down to the end. Yeah. And how they make their moves. And I think Malik Willis is going to play well in the preseason, and they're going to have some really soul searching on. They're going to keep 3 quarterbacks. And the new rules of quarterback and dressing on game day, but they still count against the number. So they still will have to cut them and then bring them back if they were going to try to keep 3 quarterbacks and dress one on game day. So it wasn't just like a given. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I like the battles. I actually like a lot of the competition they have at training camp all over the place. But here's one thing that's a sign that they're starting the process of moving forward. They've already started it. And when they start drafting guys, and Reggie knows this, guys at your position from rounds 3 and up. So that means the second round and first round, they're trying to, get you out of there in another year. It doesn't matter who you are. And so they've tried 2 years and they have come up unlucky. Well, it's not second year yet, but Levis just got here. So quarterback, see Tajay Spears. We didn't need a running back, did we? Did we need a running back? We didn't need a running back.
Let me ask you
we needed a wide receiver, though. We didn't need no running back.
Right.
So Blaine, let me ask you
he's good, but we didn't need a running back.
With Malik, is he just not a system fit for Tennessee? Is he an NFL quarterback in another system? What is it?
Well, okay, let's just give you this. He played in a system, let's say, that threw the ball over the yard. He was the best athlete on the field at Liberty. Right. He went to Auburn. We had his high school coach on. He didn't even start quarterback till he was a senior in high school. But he was an all-purpose player, though. He did play since he was a freshman, but just not a quarterback. So he was really an inexperienced player there, then really only starting quarterback a little bit at Auburn, then transferring to Liberty, and then starting for 2 years, and then just kind of blowing it up where they do one side reads. If not, he'd run and throw. And he's the best athlete on the football field. So he had to learn and grow and understand, you know, anticipatory throws, throw to spots, you know, going through your progression read. Just think he never took a snap under center. I mean, so there was a lot of transition. So I think he's a great guy, great human being, and he put in some work this offseason because he looks 10 times better than he did last year. So I'm interested to see the battle. I think he potentially can be a backup in this league for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think in his defense last year, he was kind of thrown to the wolves with a crap offensive line. No real receivers, you know. I mean, it was a tough situation.
Tannehill was playing behind her. I mean, so at the same time, I mean,
Yeah, and I just think from somebody who watches Tennessee from a casual, he looked so bad. He just did not look like he belonged. And I tried to figure out.
Coaches didn't even trust him. They didn't even. You could
Yeah.
tell how the play calling was. It was just like, oh
They
man,
didn't even give
And
that
so
can mess
then
with your confidence too. You know, that can mess with your confidence a little bit. And I think he's real strong in his faith. And I think so. He's a guy that persevered. And they asked him about the competition, and he said the right answer because this is what I would have said. He said, "There's no competition. I'm competing against myself because you want to be the best version of who you are, and that's all you can do. You can't try to be somebody you're not. So
that's all you can
you
control.
don't have your gifts, and you don't have theirs.
Right.
So yeah, you're competing to be the best version of you, and that's what I've always done. I can't. Hey, look, all day long I want to be Ronnie Lott, but I'm never gonna be Ronnie Lott. I didn't have Ronnie Lott's ability, but I'm gonna be the best version of Blaine Bishop.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get the best out of my body and my talent. That's it. So that's how Malik Willis thinks. So that's good to hear.
That'll serve him well. If he thinks like that, that'll serve him well. And you can tell that mentality if you're saying he's worked really, really hard in the offseason and kind of gotten better. And, you know, that light switch come on, it changes things.
He had to work on some technical things too, as well. You know, in his technique and throwing the football because he could get away with a lot of other stuff. But he's got some talent. I want to say he could be for sure a backup in this league. Yeah, I think he's figuring it out on this offense, which is more conventional offense than any other. If he was like on the Cardinals, like where Murray's throwing the ball over the yard, he would have fit that easily, much better than the Titans.
Yeah. And I think he, even though he had those things going against him last year, I just still was looking for, I mean, it's the NFL. So when you're thrown in, you get your shot. Like you got to show something, and it just felt like he just never really showed, and yeah, you can have all these excuses, but I do respect that he never let those be excuses. He never made those excuses for himself. I really respect that. So
class act guy for sure. Yeah.
Bryce, I know you've been quiet. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, man. You got something for me, Bryce? You on mute? What you got going on, Bryce?
Sorry, I've been listening to you guys the whole time.
Okay.
I think he's just been enjoying listening to y'all talk.
Yeah, what you got for us? You got anything for us?
So Blaine, what was the transition of going to the Super Bowl?
Oh man, that was a dream come true. And I say that, and I told that to my teammates on that day, especially the DBs. And I stood at the front of the line when they announced the offenses. You dream as a kid, and Reggie kind of mentioned, when you're 6, 7, 8, I want to play in the National Football League. Oh, you watch the Super Bowl, and you just, man, you think, I want to play in that game, but you never theoretically think that you're going to ever play in that game. And then to even be in the league. So it was a dream come true, man. And I really am blessed to say I was a part of it. And I don't even see it as losing, I won, I was there, I got to play in it, man. And, how many people can say that they lived a dream of playing as a kid and to get a chance to do that, man. It was pretty unbelievable, probably outside of a couple other things, man. One of the best things I felt like I've been able to achieve, because not everybody can say that they played in a Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl. And I could be one of those people to say that I got that shot. And, I enjoyed it all the way to the end, even though we lost.
Yeah. What was it like for you getting that injury in the Super Bowl? Were you, first of all, that seemed it was really scary, I know, at the time, but
Yeah.
what did that look like for you, like, afterwards? Were you, I don't know. I don't know what I'm
Yeah, no,
asking.
that's a good question because you know what? Nobody's ever asked me that. So I'm
Mhm.
glad you asked me. So first of all, when I got injured, you know, I hurt my neck, and it was, I think, the middle of the third quarter, and I got knocked out too. So when they first, you know, I wake, they say, "Hey, you know, how you doing? Do you know where you at?" And I start laughing, and I go, "Yeah, I'm at the Super Bowl, man. Come on, man. I'm at the Super Bowl. I know where I'm at." Now, I just tell you, my neck hurt though. So they were like, I said, but I know I'm coming back in this game, and I kept saying that. So then they like, Blaine, you're not coming back in this game, because they didn't want to move my neck around, because I just kept on saying it was bothering me, but I could move it, but they wanted to be safe and secure. So next thing you know, they, you know, strap me down and don't move your neck and all, you know. So I felt like I could come back in that game, but I'm glad they didn't let me come back in the game to say that. So I listened to the rest of the game in an MRI machine where they were trying to, they cut my helmet off. And so I could hear all the roaring and everything else.
Damn.
And so I'm listening to the radio, and then they were like, "Dang, man, I think y'all gonna win it, you know, or come back and tie it." And so when we lost, so I'm walking back with a neck brace on, walking through the stadium because I was on the other side and nobody's in there, and all the graffiti's on the ground, you know. So I'm walking through that by myself all the way to the other side to the tunnel, and then get on the bus. And then I actually didn't remember actually how the play really occurred. So I saw the replay multiple times on, you know, the 4-letter network there, ESPN, and then I remembered everything. So yeah, that was a, you know, tough experience, and that was one of the reasons why. Also, I wanted to get back there too. I wanted to finish.
Yeah.
Even though I wanted to win too, I wanted to finish. So
Yeah.
that was tough, but
That had to have been tough.
we almost got
inches, huh?
Yeah, inches. That's incredible, though.
Yeah, inches to the tie, though, right? I think Fisher said he would have went for 2, or did he say he wouldn't? I don't know.
Yeah, that was I mean, the only bright side is at least, I mean, that moment of him reaching out, like watching it live, was like one of, I mean, it was. I still can't, like, people, like mean people who are fans of other teams will send that play to me just to be mean sometimes, because it's. I'm like,
they would do that. They say, fans are crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, ugh.
I just passed the message along. I didn't mean to send that.
It still like rips my heart out every time I see that. So
I do that too. I get that too. I get that with the Kevin Dyson play, and I get the Mario Chalmers 3 from the Memphis and Kansas game, and I can't watch either one.
Yes, the Chalmers. Yes,
so mad.
Yeah. But nah, I you know, I don't even get mad. It took me a long time to watch the game. It probably took me 10 years before I even watched the game.
Oh, wow.
And that was on a replay, you know, where they do it on NFL Network. So it was a little. I just, man, I never wanted to see me get injured like that, and seeing that was really, really painful. But other than that, I was off to the next year. I missed the parade and everything else after the game when we came back. So I wasn't, you know, so it took me a minute to even recover from that. You know, the coaches didn't let me have contact until, I don't know, man, training camp. And even in training camp it didn't. So we're talking about 6, 7, 8 months later.
Man, that reminds me of not quite Super Bowl, but my practice squad year being with the Oilers when we lost to Buffalo. When they came back, man, that was freaking tragic, man. You know, to be up 35-3 and then, you know, lose that game when I really believe we would have went to the Super Bowl had we won that game.
Oh man, I was watching that in college. I could not. I actually changed the channel because I think it was Dallas or somebody else was on the other channel because y'all were blowing them out so bad when I was in college. So I just knew. Yeah, when I sent it back, I could not believe that.
And here's what makes it worse, Blaine. So right before the game, that Friday before we get ready to go to Buffalo, Mike Hollervack calls me in and says, "Hey, we're going to sign you for next year, and we're not supposed to give you the playoff money, but whatever we get from the playoff money is going to be your signing bonus." So At halftime, we winning. I'm like, bet. Just out of
Oh, you looking forward to that money already, right?
He was already planning on how to spend it and everything.
man,
Oh man,
that's crazy. But that's why you got to finish, man. And it's not promised, and it ain't over till the clock strikes 0, man. That's just how it goes.
Hey, 7 seconds. That's all you need, right, Reginald Brown? Miami Miracle could play.
Hey,
that's it. Best play Daniel's ever done for us.
Yes. Hey, my family is taking me out to eat. I gotta run. Blaine, man, it's been awesome, man.
Good talk to you, Reg.
I'll hit you up, bro. Bryce, thank you as always. Haley, Jonathan, hey, you guys are great. Thank you.
Thanks, Reggie.
Good
Have a great Happy Father's Day.
Yes.
Blaine, I'm sure you got to go too. Enjoy your family. We've kept you on an hour, but
no, we all right. I can go about 5 more minutes. I got something for me,
Okay. All right. Well,
Brian's got
wait, Bryce, you got any other questions you want to ask before he goes? No. Bryce?
I wanted to ask him what was the battle between Eddie George and Ray Lewis.
Oh.
Well, that's a good
one. Well, I don't know. You may want to ask him about that battle. I try not to get in between that kind of the big boy battle. But those are definitely something to see there. 2 really elite players, mentally tough players in their primes. I'm sure one could say the other who won certain battles at times, but ultimately, whoever won the game really won the battle. So
yeah, it seems like they got kind of a cool friendship now. So.
Oh yeah. Well, it's people think just because you went to battle against the guys that you're not friends with them after the fact or maybe a day. I was more of a 24-hour rule guy. I would say that whether win, lose, or draw, I'm not talking and not all week either. Because it just didn't work out that way for me. I had to find a way to not like you, so I could play the way I wanted to play.
Yeah.
That friendship has been there since the time they played. I don't think that was just something new.
Yeah, it was just kind of more on the field.
Yeah.
So
competition.
So we asked someone this question last week, so we'll end with this. But since we were talking about Ray Lewis, what do you think? Who do you think would win in a Derrick Henry versus Ray Lewis?
Well, that's kind of hard for me to say because I'm always about it's a team sport. So
you think Derrick Henry could stiff arm him?
I think Derrick Henry can stiff arm anybody.
I agree.
Ray Lewis, Lawrence Taylor. I mean, he's a big human being that plays running back at 6'4". So I think he can. Derrick Henry against any generation of type players, he would definitely serve well. But they're going to get their chances too. So that's what sports is. From a fan perspective, you may remember one play or another, but at the end of the day, that's what drives the competitiveness of each individual's. When you watch film and you watch tape and say, okay, we're gonna get after it. So Derrick Henry straight armed a lot of guys, but Derrick Henry also took some big blows too. So
yeah, for sure.
So
thank you, Blaine.
Anytime you lose stuff.
Thank you, Blaine, for your time, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it, Blaine.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. Anybody got some lasting questions they want to ask me before I let you go, or no? Everybody good?
Preston, you got anything? Preston? Jonathan?
I'm good. Well, Brian, what'd you do for Father's Day?
Happy Father's Day, yes, for sure.
Thank you.
Hey, we're glad you decided to stick around Nashville after we love listening to you on the radio. Been listening to you for a long time. So
yeah, I love Nashville. Yeah, they've been treating me well, man. I love it. Love it. You originally from Nashville?
I am. Born and raised.
Born and raised. Where'd you go to high school?
At Brentwood.
You went to Brentwood?
Yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah.
Man, I would have thought you was out, like in Lebanon or Hermitage. She's like, what?
Well, okay. Let me say this. I grew up in Nolensville, which is
Okay, Nolensville. That's kind of back then was nothing,
yeah,
right?
right. So, and I was kind of in between. So, like, I went to Page Middle School, but I went to Brentwood High School. So I was kind of in a weird little zoning area. But yeah, I went to Brentwood High School. I actually graduated with with Leslie Steckel, which is Les Steckel's
son. Yeah.
or daughter. Yeah. So Leslie was his daughter. And so when they moved here from Houston, she started going to my school and we became friends like day one that she started. She was in one of my classes and we became really good friends. So she and I graduated together. We're still friends now, but
yeah. Les a great coach. I have nothing but great things to say about him. Yeah, FCA and everything, Fellowship Christian Athletes and everything. He's a great dude.
That whole family, Luke, who's been with the Titans for
he just left, right?
To go to the Bears. He's he actually Bryce got to meet him when Bryce came to his first game this year. We got to go on the field and he got to meet Tannehill and Henry and Vrabel, but he got to meet Luke too. You what?
I have the videos.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on 1 second, Blaine.
Okay.
He wants to show you his video from that day. So.
Oh, okay.
It's your first game, or you come to a lot?
It's his first Titans game.
I love it. Thanks for coming out. Nice to meet you.
Can you sign this?
Yeah.
There we go.
And I got a jersey.
Oh, you do? And you got his jersey.
I love it.
You got what jersey? There you go.
So
that's really cool. That's cool.
We had a good day that day, didn't we, Bryce?
Yes. And here you go. Here's the Derrick Henry one.
Look at Derrick Henry. Look at the king. There we go.
What's up, brother, man?
Oh, thanks for coming. Good to see you, man.
I got to see you before you get signed.
Man, what a huge human being that is. Good Lord.
Yep.
Right.
Man.
I'm actually gonna do something. For Derrick in a couple weeks.
You are?
I'm gonna send him that photo that I made.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to help you with that, Bryce. Remind me. We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well,
cool.
Thank you, Blaine, for coming on.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it. Anytime, just give me a shout.
I'm sure we'll see you at training camp or game.
Oh yeah,
somewhere
we're
around.
be best buddies now, all the time.
Hey, Blaine, I actually want to meet you at the game this year.
So when he,
I'm gonna see you at a
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down on this down sideline. I do the uniform policies for the Titans, so I have to report them to the NFL if they have uniform violations. So I'll be down there.
All right. Well, we'll let you know what game he's coming to, and we'll try to figure something out to meet up with you. So.
All right, cool. You guys take care.
All right.
See you,
Thank
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, Bryce.
Hi, Jonathan.
I'll call you. All right.
All right. Love you, Bryce.
Thank you, Haley, for coming on and helping me out.
Of course, always. Love you.
Love you.
I'll talk to you in a little bit, okay?
Talk to you in a little bit.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you guys for watching in the chat tonight. Have a good night. Enjoy your Father's Day.